Meteorologist John Burchfield here with this week's Climate Friday newsletter. We're already a week into the month of September, and boy, it started off hot and toasty, several 90-degree days, and you may be wondering, when will we see some fall weather? We're going to break down the answer to that question and also recap some of the heat that we've seen to start off the month of September, and also what you can expect as we go towards the middle of the month and also trend towards the fall season. In addition to breaking down our summer heat, late summer heat, we're going to talk about the long-range outlook and some of the expectations we have for the remainder of the month. Several days in the 90s to kick off the month of September. The 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th all brought days well into the 90s. We had a 90-degree day, a 91, and a 93 with some near record heat to kick off the month of September. Here's a look at our observed high temperatures versus some of those records. We were still a bit of a far cry from the record high on Sunday, which was 98 degrees. Record for Monday, 95, and same story for Tuesday as well. We still saw temperatures well into the 90s all 3 of those days. We've had quite a toasty start to the month of September thus far. Averaging out the first 5 days of this month, we've come out with an average high of 88 degrees, an exceptionally hot start to the month of September. Now, we didn't quite achieve record heat, especially looking at some of the hottest September days ever in Toledo. We've hit the triple digits 3 times. Looking back towards the 1st and the 2nd of the month, both of those occurred in the same year in 1953, an unusually hot start to the month. Also, 1939 brought a couple of very, very hot days. We hit the triple digits once that year, and then also 99 degrees in September 7th of 1939. So yes, we have had triple digit days. Didn't quite get to that territory this year, but still it was a very warm start to the month. Now we're starting to see that trend where our average, our normal high, is going down as we round the corner into the middle of September. Right now we're at a point where our average high temperature is close to the 80-degree mark, and it's going to be dropping quickly as we head towards the latter half of the month. By the very end of September, our average high is 72. In other words, we lose about 10 degrees over the course of the month of September as we round the corner from summer into autumn. So what can you expect for the remainder of the month? After a hot start to the month, we're going to see a cooler shift that'll bring on a change in the weather pattern for much of the country's midsection and the Great Lakes region. That blue color that you see shows below normal temperatures, and keep in mind our average high is around 80 degrees, and across Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, we're going to see temperatures below average, and this weather map goes from September 11th through September 15th. So next week is going to bring a nice relief from the heat, and that trend is going to continue through the middle of the month as well. You see that blue color? This extends all the way through September 19th, and we are expecting below normal conditions as we head towards the latter half of the month. Hour by hour forecast. A dip in the jet stream is expected to bring us some changes heading into the weekend. We will start to see temperatures turn just a little bit milder Saturday and Sunday, back to the upper 70s. But then next week, we get another nice dip in the jet stream. That'll bring us some below normal temperatures, and that long range outlook does feature some cooler days. In fact, you'll see some highs in the upper 60s in that WTOL 11 10-day forecast. So what's the link to climate change, and what are some trends that we have seen over the course of the month of September, and what does the data show? Well, in the past decade alone, there has been a pretty sizable warming trend. In the Toledo metro, we've seen a 2.3 degree increase. In other words, September getting warmer. That's the last decade. What about a longer data time? Since 1970, that trend has been almost 4 degrees on the uptick. In the last 50 years or so, September temperatures have gotten about 4 degrees warmer, and that is a trend that we can see here visually on the graph. Again, nearly 4 degrees of warming, even though there are some cyclic ups and downs that occur due to year-to-year variation and some individual patterns in the jet stream. That white line shows you the overall trend line, and we are seeing more warm days. In terms of the number of days that are above average as we head towards autumn, this is likely to be a trend that we continue to see in September and maybe even October, with the number of above average days on the increase as As we saw at the start of this month, those warmer days are becoming a little bit more commonplace, and fall warming is occurring across much of the country, and most noticeably out west, where you see those darker red colors. Even though it seems like fall is getting a lot warmer here, it's even more of a noticeable trend looking out towards the western states. Looking at data across the entire United States, this warming trajectory is something that's occurred in a lot of cities. Data since 1970 shows that 232 of 241 cities that were studied have seen an increase in temperatures, and that's just about all of the cities in that study. An average increase of 2.4 degrees, and that's just average. 1/3 of cities have warmed up by over 3 degrees, and Toledo is one of those cities that has seen an uptick in temperatures of closer to 4 degrees. All right, so we're seeing warmer temperatures. What about the waters of the ocean? Well, we are still keeping an eye on some very long-range weather patterns, and even though it's still far too early to talk about the winter weather, it is fun to look in advance and see what some of the global trends are showing us. We're keeping an eye on El Nino conditions, which is actually the opposite of what we've seen in the last few winters, and essentially what this reflects is warmer than normal waters in the equatorial Pacific. That orange color shows you where temperatures are above average, and the blue color shows you where temperatures are below average. And that dotted black line is the equator. We're keeping a close eye on the water temperatures there and how it may impact our weather pattern over the next couple of months. Generally, when you have an El Nino pattern, what we call the subtropical jet stream, or one of the branches of the jet stream that is a conveyor belt for our weather, it's very active across the southern and southwestern United States, and that brings them an active storm track. Now, what we often see with El Nino patterns is that warm air spills into the northwestern, north central, and sometimes even the Great Lakes region, and it contributes to a drier than normal weather pattern across the Great Lakes. Now, it's still a little too early to make projections much beyond several months, but if this trend did continue into the winter, which it is expected to as of now, the Great Lakes and Midwest is likely to be drier than normal. The southern United States, shown by that green color, is likely to be wetter than normal. You have that active subtropical jet, and the polar jet stream further to the north, the other branch of the jet stream, is going to usher in some milder than normal conditions coming off the warm Pacific waters. Of course, over the last several years, we had colder than normal equatorial Pacific waters, and that's shown by that trend dipping below the standards for La Nina. However, we are starting to see a change in the water's temperatures, and that is skewing towards an El Nino pattern, and there is a high probability that that continues as we head towards the winter. Fun to look long range, but one thing's for sure, the 10-day forecast in much of September is going to bring a change in the weather that'll usher in cooler conditions, and we'll keep a very close eye on El Nino and how it may affect our weather over the coming months. You can subscribe for the latest Climate Friday newsletter. We have new content coming out each and every Friday, and follow along on social media for the very latest. Thanks for watching.